So here is the design we're going to make, and this design is available in the description box below. Hi, and welcome to this last demonstration in session 4. So today we're going to show you how to make a clamshell box with corrugated board. So this style of housing is the one you can see here. So it's a very protective type of housing, and it's lightweight and robust at the same time because we're using a board that is corrugated, and that looks like this. So it's not a plain board, but that makes it less heavy and will protect your objects really well. So that means that it would be perfect for objects that are a little bit more heavy or that have been damaged really heavily, or just for special objects in your collection that you want to give an extra protection. So I'm going to show you the materials and tools we're going to need. So corrugated board, this is a material you can find a link for in the description box below. We're also going to need a cutting mat, large one preferably, long rulers, a square. We're also going to need a knife that is sharply with a sharp blade, bone folder, a spatula would be useful. It's optional, but if you have one, do take one. If you don't have one, you can also use a bamboo skewer like this one, and I'll show you later how we use it. We also need white glue. If you saw our previous session about which materials to use for housing, you'll know that we prefer to use EVA, but you can also use PVA under certain circumstances. So please check that video before using any type of white glue. Also a synthetic small brush, some bulldog clips, pieces of board, permanent marker and a label, and then some paper and a pencil to write your measurements. The book we decided to house in the clamshell box is this one. So it's very heavily damaged, as you can see, and the lower board is completely detached, and the upper board is missing. So we just replace it with a piece of corrugated board in order to avoid smashing the shoulder. So the first thing to do is to take all your measurements. So in order to take the measurements properly, you want to take at least 2 measurements per direction, per orientation. So for the width, I'm going to take a measurement at the bottom, another at the top, and I'm going to take the higher measurement. So we wanted to take the larger number to make sure all of the book fits in the box. Also, when you're measuring the width, you want to make sure that you're taking all of the spine. So usually spines are curved, so you want to go to the furthest point on each side of the book. I'll do the same for the height. So 2 measurements like so. For the depth, I'll just go down and I'll check the height like this, and I put my eyes at the same level than the upper boards. Okay, so I finished writing my measurement here. So I have all the information I need. So that means that I can put my book aside and I'm not taking any risk to put any glue or to hurt this little guy. So make sure you have a large piece of corrugated board where your book will fit. So now I'm going to measure the horizontal line, and I'm going to take the largest measurement I need, and I'm going to do the same for the vertical line. So here I will need a depth, and then a width, a depth, a spine, again a depth, a width, and a depth. You'll see on the design that is downloadable in the description box below that we'll have to add a little bit more, we'll have to add some millimeters to make sure that the box can close well, because the upper part of the box is obviously a bit bigger. The lid will be a bit bigger than the bottom of the box. When I took my measurements, I made sure that I would add 1 millimeter on each direction. So for the width, I had 129 millimeters and I added 1 millimeter. I did the same for the height and I did the same for the depth. Like this, I'm sure that the book is not going to be too restricted in the box and it's going to be just perfect for the measurements. So I'm going to have my design here on the bench. There's no shame in that. It's always nice to have, you know, a memo to make sure that you're not doing any mistakes, because you don't want to waste a whole piece of board like this one. So I'm starting with the bigger box. That's going to be on the left side. So I'm going to have a depth plus 2 millimeters. For me, that's going to be 32. I'm already going to record that at the top. So as I said with previous video, make sure you take at least twice the measurements, and 3 times is even better. Then I'm going to need a width plus 2 millimeters. That's going to be 132 millimeters. The spine, a depth and 2 millimeters. That's going to be 32. And then we're starting to build the bottom of the box, and we'll have a width, just a width, no need to add anything, 130. And then a depth, 30. I'm going to join all the marks together to make sure that you're straight. To make sure that your line is straight, you can use a square and just check everything is square. That's good. Don't press too much. Don't press too much with your pencil, especially because with the corrugated board, it's really easy to go through the board, as there's a bit of air in the board, right? Since it's a corrugated board. And for the last one, you can mark the line, but this is where you're going to cut. So you can leave the ruler here and just cut it with your sharp scalpel. You can just make sure. Make sure your ruler doesn't move. I need another passage. Straight line, that's great. We can put that aside. And now we're gonna do the vertical line. So with the vertical orientation, it's a little bit more tricky because the left board is different from the right board. So you're gonna have to measure first the left board. So don't pay attention. If you want, you can actually put A for the bottom, B for the lid. And so I'm just gonna measure for the upper parts, depth plus 2 millimeters, that's 32. And then I need a height and 4 millimeters, that's 207. And then I need a depth and 2 millimeters, 32 millimeters. Okay, so now we can join the line, but you'll join them only, sorry, for the upper line actually, you're gonna join all the way through because that's our maximal length as the upper box will be bigger, right? So we can cut this line. It's a bit more tricky to cut in that direction with the corrugated board. Here you go. And now when we're marking what the measurement we just took, we're gonna stop to the upper box. So I'm stopping just before the spine. There's only 2 lines to mark. Here you go. Okay, so now we've done the lid of the box and we want to do now the bottom part. So I'm going to remove 2 millimeters on the tail and 2 millimeters on the head to allow the thickness of the board. And so the box will close nicely. So let me measure 2 millimeters on each side. On the head part as well. So I'm going to start here. And I'm going to join the points together. And this line can go across the spine as well, because that's where we're going to cut our spine. Okay. So now if you remember, the depth of the book was 30 millimeters. So we're going to add that to the wall of the box. And same on the head edge. Just adding 30 millimeters. Okay, and joining the dots. This time there's no need to go on the spine because we're not going to fold the spine horizontally, obviously. All right. So now we're going to mark a diagonal line on the corners. So here I'm going from this cross lines to here. And I'm going to do the same on each corners. Okay. And so now it's time to cut the parts we don't need. So we won't need this part. We won't need those 2 millimeters that we removed. Oh, and you see here, I forgot to continue with my line on the spine. totally fine. I'm just continuing it, and we're going to remove this. And then we're going to remove these ones. So part of those triangles, like this, we can close the box nicely. And here. And we're going to remove all these parts. Okay, so let's start with the spine. Again, you see I'm protecting my design with the ruler. So I'm sure that I'm not gonna, even if I slip with my blade, I'm not gonna damage the design I'm trying to make. Okay. If you're unsure about something, it's best to check your design. Always double check instead of doing things you're not sure, and then you have to start over again from the beginning. Because if you mess that box just a little bit, it's very difficult to make that back, to make that good again. So now make sure that it's removing nicely. Just attach somewhere else. Okay, doesn't want to. There you go. Okay. So don't try to tear a piece that doesn't want to come off. You just pass again with your blade, and normally it should come off very easily. So now I'm removing the 2 millimeters we marked at the head. We don't need that. Okay. And the last things we want to remove is those little triangles. What's happening? Little patience is needed. Nice, this one came out nicely. 2 more to go. Okay, so now we have our design ready to be scored with a bone folder. So now comes my favorite time when making a box, scoring. So you're gonna take your ruler and you're just gonna score with your bone folder. So put pressure on the ruler and then you're gonna try, to fold it. Normally it should come quite easily because the board is orientated this way. So it's gonna be more difficult to fold on the other direction, other orientation. But this one should be fine. You see, it's folding very easily. I'm gonna turn it over. The same here. Don't press too hard with the bone folder because you might damage the board. At least in this direction. In the other direction, you can go a bit harder. There you go. Okay, let's do it on the other side. You see I'm pressing a bit more here because the board is in the other direction. Okay, so the bottom, the lid, and it should come like this. But now we cannot close it yet because there's too much material here. So what we have to do is to remove the inside of this little triangle. And I'm going to show you how. I have my spatula here. And I'm just going to lift the white part of the board. Just like so. Okay. Doesn't have to be pretty at this point. It can look a bit messy, but you'll see where I'm going. So here you can just go like this. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make sure that with the scalpel, I'm just gonna remove the inner part of the board. There you go. And now the idea is to have those two triangles going on each side of the board, like this. And we're going to use white glue and a brush. Okay, so now that all your corners are good to go, you can start to glue them. So I have a bit of white glue here that I'm going to pour in a little jar. I have my synthetic brush, and don't forget And don't forget to have on hand bulldog clips like these ones and pieces of board. So now let's glue. So I'm just gonna take a bit of glue. Don't take too much, remove the excess. And I have a piece of waste paper here. I'm just gonna add try to not be too messy, because if there's a bit of glue on your hands, it might show then at the end. So really try to be as straight as possible, and you're going to push the triangles. And you're going to push the triangles, hold it a bit, maybe try to use your bone folder inside and on the outside. Hold it with your hands and then put boards. I need a bigger one. Yeah. So my clip was a bit too small in order to hold the triangles, and my boards were a bit big. So what I did is that I pick up bigger clips, because I really want to make sure that there's enough pressure here. So this is perfect. So let's do the same on this side. I'm gonna fold my waste paper in two. Bit of white glue. Don't put too much, you really need, you don't want to have excess. Okay. Remove the waste paper and then just push it on both sides. Use your bone folder as clean as possible. The board on the inside, on the outside, and the clip. Two more to go. Okay, and there you have it. So now you just let it dry for at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and then we'll come back to it and we'll see if it fits the books, which it should normally. So here we are after about 30 minutes. Our glue has dried, so we're going to check it out. So let's remove all the clip. It looks nice. Okay, so it seems checking, yeah, looks really nice. So now we're gonna check if it closes. And perfect. Really happy with the results. I have a little something here coming out, that's fine. That's really good. Now we're gonna remove, so you remember I had a A and a B. I'm just gonna erase this with a Mars Staedtler rubber. avoid blowing on your beautiful finished boxes because you might just spit on it accidentally. So you prefer to do it with your hands or just with a little brush. That'd be nice too. So we're ready to try it with the book. So let's go inside. And it closes really nicely. So when you're happy with your box, you can actually do a final detail on it. This is totally optional, but the external corner you have on the outer box can catch on other objects. So you might want to smooth that out, either with some scissors, just cutting straight, just like so, would already make a good difference. Or you can actually cut round with a coin and then a scalpel. Obviously the position here on the camera. So you just go around with a scalpel around the coin. So here you go. And now we're going to put the book back in its book. Okay? And close it. So the last step is to label the box. So as we did it with our previous demonstration, permanent marker on the label, close the lid, and we're just going to add that where I'm used to put it usually, on the upper right corner. And here you go. You have a nice box that will protect your object. And that's it for this session. So I hope you enjoy it and thank you for watching.